Nice to meet you all, everyone. Thank you for joining. Yes, I will tell you how to start a cultured meat startup and more. Why am I bothering doing this? So there's a lot of opportunity in this space that has yet to be discovered. I will share you all my secrets about how we got started. For those of you that already have companies, I apologize. I'm not sharing any of my science secrets. You will have to reach out to me separately to learn more about our IP. But to start off, where did we start as Future Fields? Well, we actually started not as a B2B company supplying growth media. We actually started as a consumer-facing company. We thought it was a great idea to try to make chicken the cheapest meat possible. So myself and my co-founders, Matt and Jolene, we gathered our own cell line from a chicken here in Canada. We created our own scaffold. We went through the whole process chain. We were successful multiple times with the prototype that you see on screen. But it didn't matter because, like many other groups, this 20-ounce nugget still cost $300, which made it $3,000 per pound, which was pretty useless because chicken was $1.34 per pound. So we set out to solve this our own problem. So through experimentation, some serendipity, and interestingly, my co-founder Jolene and Matt standing in line at a Tim Hortons getting coffee, very Canadian. That is where the first spark of an idea for how to solve the growth media problem came up. And now here we are today as a growth media company producing growth factors for up to 1,000 times cheaper. The reason why I bring this up is that, well, everything in this industry is rooted in very deep science. The creativity and what you can find in your own pivots and the own problems you face are not insurmountable, and that the solutions and ideas you have along the way are actually really important. So this is just a simplified example of everything that goes into, well, chicken in this case. There's a lot of moving pieces in the supply chain to end up on your plate. But for the world of cultivated meat and cellular agriculture, I tried to find the weirdest things that I could look up that contain animal products. I do not think I have seen many companies in this space that are specifically making soap yet, using cellular agriculture, perhaps producing fats, using cultivated meat techniques. I show this to you because the opportunity landscape is vast. The market is not saturated, contrary to what some groups may say. And there are many materials to get started with a new company, such as GFI's startup manual. But the important point is that you can join in too. Don't listen to the haters. Your ideas are important. There's a lot of room for new ideas. Usually what gets shown as outlined for the things you need to figure out for starting a cultured meat startup. You need to get your cells, your growth media, scaffolds, depending on what you're making, something to grow it in, your bioreactors, and a way to finish the product. But in my own experience, and as well what we did at Future Fields, we actually started somewhere else. And that is actually to start really with your vision, your customers, your story, to figure out a way to rapidly prototype your way forward and build a roadmap out of it. It can be easy to skip. It can be tempting to skip, but these are actually the most important parts to get started with, to know where you're going towards your vision. first step really is to have a story and have a reason. Pragmatically, the reason why you need that is because it's cool just won't be enough. That to hire employees and talent in this industry, to attract investors, and to keep yourself going as well. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing, it is never as simple as just because there will be hard parts, especially when it comes to technical challenges and fundraising. So having a reason and a story to tell while you're talking to others is the important place to start. Why you're doing that. The reason why you want to start with that first is because even before you start trying to develop your product, it is actually a way to skip ahead without spending any money at all and to validate your customers. So by the story that you're building, you can take the time to actually know who your customers are, understand the role that they play in their universe in terms of the product you're making. You can take the chance to actually talk to them. And you don't need anything to build this. The reason why you want to do this is it'll give you a chance to understand your market scope, to understand what traits of your product might actually be more attractive to your customers, whether it's B2C or B2B. And it can be tempting to skip at first because the science can be really exciting, but it will help narrow down your focus for what you need to do. Because once you believe you understand your customer's behavior and how they'll act and how the market might act, it is an opportunity to do some feasibility research. Again, before you have to worry about buying your own bioreactor, or if you're a non-technical founder, before you really get into trying to find a CTO, by having your vision and understanding who your customers are and why they need you will go a long way to finding the technical co-founder if you are not one yourself. With that, do some basic feasibility research, background research into the product and to the industry. And I say this not that if you find something that is discouraging, that it seems like it might not be possible. Don't let that stop you. Because the nice part about doing this research pragmatically as well is to understand the IP landscape. Perhaps something that you're working on might actually be not done before and might have an open field, which can be as much as an opportunity to do something new as a pleasant challenge. And once you understand where you can start, do the killer experiment first. And don't worry about being scalable. Yes, scaling is the common topic of what we all need to figure out to actually achieve the vision we all see. But it can be a hindrance if you're trying to do everything all at once. So do the killer experiment first with your customers, your first prototype, even if your process isn't exactly correct of how it needs to be, but something that your customers can get in hand or see or taste or look at or give feedback on, so you can know what to iterate and what to change before you invest too much. Because the more you invest, the harder it can be to pivot. And once you have that in hand, you can map out your capabilities, what you can do right now and what you need to change, whether that's from a science perspective or from a business and market perspective. Markets are a fickle thing, but advertising can be really effective. As we all know, in the food space, there's a lot of advertising about it. Take the time to understand where you're at, where your team is at objectively, and map out where you need to go in terms of skills and technology. With your capabilities in hand of what you know you need to change and your first prototypes, you can begin to create a picture linked together between what you need to do next, what you need to buy, and what prototypes you need to make next. Usually MVPs and prototypes are talked about in terms of a physical product, in our case, something that you can taste. But market problems also fall into this. So do organizational problems. How do I find my co-founder, business or technical? How do I find my first employee? How do I figure out how to pass the first regulatory hurdles? These are all things that you can do your first killer experiment on to prototype and iterate your way towards your own company in this space. And one last thing I will mention is that you're not alone in this. You have Ahmed and Geza, you have groups like Ryan mentioned in the opening keynote, you have GFI, you have New Harvest, you have Cellular Agriculture Canada, and many other groups. And we can also help you. And that tomorrow, we will actually have a new page on our website that will just say guidance on the tab. And you can come to us as well for cost-free help, access to our network, and we'll also make sure we can at least solve one step for you, which is the growth meeting.